Next we are going to the 8 marks question, that is third with long answer questions. Okay, so we are discussing about the few important 8 marks questions. These are from the firstly, that is 19th questions, that is from reproductive system. Okay, so that is the describe the female reproductive system with a neat labeled diagram. So that is the question. So now we are discussing about the female reproductive system. Right. So mainly the female reproductive system consists as, these are the mainly one pair of ovaries, and these are also consist with one pair of oviduct and uterus and vagina and vulva. So and also associated glands. So these are the main parts of the female reproductive system, human female reproductive system. So firstly we are discussing about the one pair of ovaries, right? These one pair of ovaries are present at the one on each side of the uterus or womb. So these ovaries are attached to the dorsal wall with the mesovarium. So I will show on the diagram, that is ovaries. So it is a right. It is the particular female reproductive system. So it is the uterus, these are the ovaries, these are the embryos, it is the infundibulum, it is the ampulla, it is the isthmus. Okay, and it is the vagina, it is the cervix canal, it is the cervix. So it is, and it is the outer, middle and inner. So it is the perimetrium, outer layer, and middle layer is a myometrium, and inner layer is a endometrium. So these isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum, these are called fallopian tubules. And also called oviducts. So it is the structure of female reproductive system. Now we are discussing about the one pair of ovaries especially. So these one pair of ovaries are present at the one on each side of the uterus, right? So these are made by the tunica albuginea. Okay, so these tunica albuginea also innervated into the inside of the ovaries, and it is forms to the two layers especially. So outer one is the cortex connective tissue, in cortex dense connective tissue, inner one is the loose medullary connective tissue. So the complete outer dense connective tissue is forms to the follicles especially. So the follicles are formed in the outer cortex region, and inner medullary, it is forms to the number of blood vessels and nerve cells also. Nerve cord also innervated into this loose connective tissue medullary portion, and it is the ovaries especially. Now next we are going to the one pair of oviducts. So, and here the one pair of ovaries are attached to the abdominal wall, that is the dorsal abdominal wall. So with the mesovarium, that is the peritropial membrane especially, right? And one pair of oviducts, it is also nothing but fallopian tubules. So structurally the fallopian tubules are divided into three portions. These are the first one is funnel like structure, that is the infundibulum. Second one is the ampulla. Third one is the isthmus. This complete fallopian tubules are internally lined by that is ciliated epithelial tissue. So the ciliated epithelial tissue, it is used for the moving of ovum from the, that is a proximal portion of the distal portion of the uterus to proximal portion of the uterus by the moving of these cilia. So it is the ciliated epithelial tissue. It is internally lined by these fallopian tubules. So it is the main thing. And here very important point, that is the ampullary isthmus region is a fertilization region like this. It is the fertilization region. Means here when the after ovulation the ovum is reached and stay at this ampulla and isthmus region. During this time after completion of the copulation, the sperms are reached to this both side of fallopian tubules. Then here the sperms are reached to this ampullary isthmus region, then these are fertilized to this ovum. That's why it is the ampullary isthmus region junction is a fertilization junction. So it is the oviducts, and it is the main function, and these are also attached with the dorsal abdominal wall with the mesosalpinx peritoneal layer. Mesosalpinx peritoneal layer. So it is the main thing. And another one is the uterus. It is a womb-like structure actually. It is a womb-like structure. So the complete endometrial layer is covered by this uterus. It is womb-like structure. It is a development of, it is gives to the space for the development of embryo. So it is the uterus especially. So the inner layer of the endometrium has womb as a highly vascularized portion actually. It is a highly sensitive area also in female reproductive system. Then when after fertilization this zygote comes to the uterus and womb-like structure, then it is attached with the endometrium for the implantation purpose. Finally, this uterus gives to the space for the development of embryo. So the complete endometrium shows to the number of folds inside. So these folds are gradually removing. It is along with the increasing of uterus, that is fetus. So the complete these folds are removing by the increasing of the size of the fetus. So that's why it is gives to the space for the developing fetus. So it is the uterus and its structure. And another one is the vagina. So it is a female reproductive pore. So it is mainly used for the copulation, and it is also used for the insemination of sperms. And then it is at the anterior portion of the, that is anterior, it is the male main structure of the female reproductive system. then it is open into the cervix with the cervix canal. Finally it is open into the uterus. During the coitus, the insemination process is done from this region into the uterus. Finally the semen, the sperms are entered through this vagina from the cervix canal into the uterus. So it is the vaginal function. Then we are complete discussion description present in this vulva. Right, mainly here the vulva. So this uterus is also attached with the abdominal wall by the peritoneal layer, that is the mesometrium. So that is the uterus, complete uterus is dorsal portion of the uterus is attached with the abdominal wall by the mesometrium. So here once again clear, ovaries are attached to the dorsal abdominal wall by the mesovarium layer. Fallopian tubules are attached to the dorsal abdominal wall by the mesosalpinx. Uterus is attached to the abdominal wall by the mesometrium. It is very very important thing. And we are discussing about now vulva. So the vulva has a mainly two portions, that is first one is the vaginal orifice, second one is the urethral orifice. So the complete vaginal orifice and vaginal orifice and urethral orifice. Vaginal and urethral orifices are present in the particular vulvas region. So these vaginal and urethral orifices are covered by the particular two muscular layers. These are the labia minora and labio minora and majora. So these are the muscular folds actually. Between these muscular folds, this vaginal orifice and vaginal urethral orifices are present. So the vaginal orifice is open into the uterus. The urethral orifice is open into the urinary bladder. So finally the vaginal orifice and urethral orifice are completely. So this primarily this vaginal orifice and urethral orifice are covered by the labio minora. So this labio minora also covered by the labio majora. So this labio majora having a mons pubis connective tissue. This mons pubis connective tissue has a mons that is a pubic hairs. So totally the pubic hairs are present on the surface of this labio majora. So for example, there is a complete structure of the vulva. So it is the labio majora. It is the labio majora. Internally it is the labio minora. So it is the labio majora. It is the labio minora. So the pubic hairs like this, pubic mons pubis is present on the surface of this labio majora. And internally it is the vaginal orifice, it is the urethral orifice. It is a vaginal orifice, it is urethral orifice. And anterior part of this vulva, here the one muscular structure is present, it is homologous to the penis. So this structure is called clitorius. This structure is called clitorius especially. So here it is the main thing. Finally these muscular folds are completely covered to this vaginal orifice and urethral orifice. It is the main thing. So it is the vulvas. Next we are going to the associated glands. Mainly here the three types of associated glands are present. These are, first one is Bartholin glands. Second one is Skens glands. and third glands are mammary glands. So these are including in the associated glands in female reproductive system, right? So these Bartholin glands are homologous to the bulbourethral glands in male reproductive system. These Sken's glands are homologous to the prostate glands in male reproductive system. So right, these Bartholin glands are present. The location of Bartholin glands. So the main these Bartholin gland secretions are always lubricant to these vaginal orifice, especially always lubricant when these are stimulated. When these are complete, always the vaginal orifice is stimulate lubricant by the these Bartholin gland secretions, right? So the these Bartholin glands are located at the anterior portion of this vaginal orifice, anterior portion of the vaginal orifice, one on both each side of this anterior part of the vaginal orifice. And Sken's glands. So these Sken's glands are present at the, these are also present in middle anterior portion of the vaginal orifice, and these are when the vaginal orifice is stimulated, these Sken's glands are secreting to the particular secretions. So these are also lubricant to this vaginal orifice, and these Sken's gland secretions are useful for the coitus especially. So then these are homologous to the prostate glands in male reproductive system. And another main function in these Bartholin glands in primates especially. So in primates, right, these Bartholin glands are secretions spread to some smells, so that male organism attracting by these spreading of smells, then it is ready for the coitus in the primates especially, right? It is the Sken's. Next we are discussing about the mammary glands. So these mammary glands are mainly, so the mammals, the presence of mammals having these mammary glands. So these mammary glands are present on the breast portion of the, that is the thoracic region of the female especially. So these are modified sebaceous glands. These mammary glands are the modified sebaceous glands. So just this structure of these mammary glands are like this. Right, this is the one pair of mammary glands are present at the breast region in female organisms, mammals especially. So the complete mammary gland has made by the number of fat bodies. These are the fats, right? These fats are formed to the number of lobes like this. These lobes are formed to the particular small ducts. These ducts are called mammary ducts. Mammary ducts, and these are also open into the another small ductules. These are called ampullary duct, and these are open into the finally nipple region. So these complete clusters of mammary ducts. These are completely clusters like formation, these fats like this. So remaining mammary glands also similar to this structure. So finally it is the nipple. By this nipple the infant can breast can suck these milks from these mammary ducts. It is the mammary glands, and it is the function, it is the structure of mammary glands. So these are next long question is that is number 20th. So that is working of heart of man. right? So the human heartbeat completes in mainly 3 events. These are, first one is atrial systole, second one is ventricular systole, third one is atrioventricular systole. Ventricular diastole. So these 3 events are completed in single cardiac cycle, right? First one is atrial systole, right? So firstly, our heart has a nodal tissue. So this nodal tissue is present in 2 areas. These are the, first one is sinoatrial node, second one is atrioventricular node. So these nodes are made by the nodal tissue. It is the particular tissue. It has able to the self making of action potential. So firstly, that is sinoatrial node, that is present at the anterior part of the right atrium, opening of the superior vena cava into the right atrium. So it is a sinoatrial node. And another node is, that is atrioventricular node. So that atrioventricular node is also present at the right atrium, that is posterior part of the right atrium, and it is attached, it is present at the, that is atrioventricular region, that is atrioventricular node, atrioventricular septum and atrial septum. So that is the junction, that is atrioventricular node. These both nodes are made by the nodal tissue, right? Firstly, primarily the sinoatrial node is generate to the action potential primarily. So this action potential is primarily spread into the overall complete around the both atrias firstly. So these action potentials are spread into the myometrium of the heart walls, right? This action potential is stimulate to the muscles of heart. Finally, these atria are shows to the contraction. So that process is called atrial systole. So I will show on the diagram, that is like this. So it is the contraction. So it is the atrial systole. For this atrial systole, it will take time, that is 0.1 second. So next, ventricular systole. So the action potential is received by the atrioventricular node. Then it is sent to the ventricles by the bundle of His and Purkinje fibers. So this bundle of is downwards from the, that is ventricular septum. Then it is spread into the both ventricular walls by the Purkinje fibers. So here this action potential will is sent by the Purkinje fibers into the myometrium of heart walls. Then after this action potential is stimulated to the muscles. Finally, the complete muscle contraction, that is a ventricular systole process also done, right? So that is shown on the diagram. So firstly, it is the ventricular systole, then it is the, that is atrial systole, and it is the ventricular systole, right? So here it is It is first thing. Then it is the ventricular systole. So during this process, during the ventricular systole, the atrioventricular valves are becoming a close. Then these aortic arches, semicircular valves are remaining open. Right. Finally, these left ventricular open into the aortic arches. So then this oxygenated blood is enter into the aortic arch. Then it is completely sent into the throughout the body. Then this carbon dioxide blood is also enter into the pulmonary artery. Then it is sent into the lungs for the purification. Right. So here this systole is a ventricular systole. So it will take time for this ventricular systole is 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds here. So actually here the atrial systole is completes in 0.1 second. Ventricular systole is completes in 0.3 seconds. So here the difference between this atrial systole and ventricular systole is 0.1 second. It will take for the transition of action potential from ventricular systole ventricles to that is atrioventricular nodes to that is ventricles valve. That is take for time 0.1 second. So that's why here remaining time is this that is a duration for the contraction of these ventricles. So it is the ventricular systole. Right. During the ventricular systole, these atrioventricular nodes, these are the will be remaining a close for the prevention of backflow into the atrias. So this closing sound here, the heart sound, two types of heart sounds are produced by this closing and opening of these semicircular valves and these atrioventricular valves. These two sounds are, first one is the lub, second one is the dub. So the first sound of heart it is produced by the close during the ventricular systole, closing of atrioventricular valves. So it is preventing to the backflow from the ventricles to atrias. So here the sound is produced, that sound is lub. And also here opening, the forcible opening of semicircular valves to the aortic arches. So during this closing of these valves, during the opening of these valves, so the sound is produced. That sound is called lub. Right. Then it is the ventricular systole. Then the third event is atrioventricular diastole. That is called both heart chambers diastole. So atrioventricular diastole means these atrias and ventriculars. These atrias and ventriculars are at the same time simultaneously these are going to the back, means original place. So that's why this diastole is called atrioventricular diastole. So for this atrioventricular diastole it will take for the time that is 0.4 second. So right. So after the completion of these three events, one cardiac cycle is completed. Right here during the during the diastole here, these semicircular valves are remaining closed by the forcibly. Then these atrioventricular valves are becoming a open. So during this closing of these semicircular valves at the opening of aortic arches, here another sound is produced. That sound is called dub. Right. During the ventricular systole, the first heart sound is lub. During the atrioventricular diastole, that heart sound is dub. So it is the main heart sounds here. Right. So finally the atrioventricular diastole process is also done by this during of this take time is 0.4 seconds. So here totally one cardiac cycle process is completed. So here the first one is the atrial systole, it's for 0.1 second, and the second one is the ventricular systole, it's for 0.3 seconds, and total diastole 0.4 seconds. So the total one cardiac cycle completes in 0.8 seconds. 0.8 seconds. So now we are discussing about the cardiac output. So within a minute, how many milliliters of blood can flow from the heart to body parts by these vessels. So now it is 0.1 second time is it is a one cardiac cycle. One cardiac cycle time. Right. Within a minute, approximately 70 to 75 times for beats. It is the approximately. It is the exact beats for time. But here the approximately 72 times for beats. That is the cardiac cycle within a minute approximately here. So it is the cardiac cycle. So here during the atrial systole, during the ventricular systole. Here during the ventricular systole, each ventricle can send to the blood from the ventricles to blood vessels approximately 70 milliliters of blood can send from the each ventricle, from left ventricles to body parts, from right ventricles to lungs, approximately 70 milliliters blood. Right. Next we are going to the cardiac output. Cardiac output. So here the one stroke volume also we are discussing, that is very important. Stroke volume. Stroke volume means one cardiac cycle, one heartbeat means one cardiac cycle. Single ventricle, one ventricle can send it to the blood from the one ventricles to body part. That volume is called stroke volume. Approximately this stroke volume is 70 milliliters per beat. Okay, right. Now we are going to the within a minute how many liters of blood can send from the heart. So we are calculate about that. So for a minute 72 times, and within a particular one ventricle can send how many milliliters? Approximately 70 milliliters. Totally here the 5040 milliliters of blood can send from the single that is 1 minute, within a minute can send from the blood, heart, that is the 5040 milliliters of blood, means approximately 5 liters of blood. 5 liters of blood can send from the heart within a minute. So it is the cardiac output and stroke volume within it is calculation for the within a minute. So the heart is sent to the blood into the body parts and also the that is lungs. It is the cardiac output. Right? It is the working of heart of man.